Hey, related to this question on percentage error. Today I'd like to talk about it because it's a crucial part of most external exam. How do we deal with percentage error? How do we have to? Suppose we have questions on percentage error. How do we handle it? Now, percentage error is basically the deviation of a value from the correct value. So when you say something or somebody has erred, the person or something has factored away from the correct value. So in this scope or in this light, I'm going to look at it from the mathematical perspective. It just means, in mathematical terms, it just means the actual value, this actual, minus the wrong value over the actual value times 100 over 1. So that is, you have this in mind, every other thing is secondary. Basically simple. For this example that we have here, it just says that a boy, when rounding up a number, wrote 98 instead of. Now you watch the word instead of. So instead of 980, so that means the correct value, can I call it actual value, can I call it AV, is equal to 980, and the wrong value, can I call it WV, is equal to 98. So if you factor the difference between the two, it's going to give you percentage error. Can I call it PE, is equal to 980 minus 98 over 100 over 980, sorry, which is the correct value times 100 over 1. So this can remove this. So eventually I'm going to have 90 minus 98 is going to, it gives me 882 over 98 times 10. Okay, so if you do that math, you're going to have something like that's 8820 over 98, which is equal to 90%. Now, which is option D in this our question, 90%. So 90% is the deviation of this number from the correct value. The same thing happens, all this, the same approach, the same theory, nothing changes. But anytime you come across percentage error problem, just have that the actual value minus the wrong value over the actual value times 100 over 1. That's very important. Now let's look at this second question. It says a man estimated his transport fare for a journey as 210 instead of 220. Find the percentage error in his estimate correct to 3 decimal figures. Please take note of that estimation, because they said what this means is that whatever I get, I just need to factor in to ensure that it doesn't exceed 3 significant figures. First of all, you notice that in the objectives, it's an objective question. You're going to have a lot of options that may negate this significant figure. So obviously, you should be very careful of that. To 3 significant figure. So from here, the first thing, remember I said percentage error. Again, percentage error is equal to the actual value minus the wrong value, you can call it WV, over actual value AV times 100 over 1. Here I know that my AV, it's AV, what's the actual value, instead of, always watch for this statement, instead of this, so 220, wrong value is equal to 210. So my error is going to be 220 minus 210. Okay, so percentage error therefore will be equal to difference between these two is 10. So I'm going to have 10 over actual value, which is that's 220 times 100 over 1. So that gives me, this can take away this. I'll have 100 over 22. Now, if you're to be an external exam, of all of them, I think these two, this A and B, seem more appealing or closest to my answer. But I would have to punch my calculator to know how many times can 22 go into 100. That it can go into 100 about 4 times, and because that's about 88. 4 times 22 is 88. So I'm going to, knowing that that's 4 points. Okay, let me save you a lot of those long division crap. I'll just go straight, and if you punch your calculator, you're going to have something like 4.545 54545%. Now remember, they said it's 3 significant figures. Let me do a quick lecture on how to deal with significant figure. Now 3, this is the first significant figure, this is the second, this is the third. Now look to the next number. Is it up to 5? If it's up to 5, round it up as 1 and add it to this one. But if it's less than, round it up as down as 0. So my answer eventually, since it's more than, it's up to 5, it's going to give me 4.55%. And that is option A. Haven't dealt with that. We'll move ahead to, let's say, 1 or 2 more questions before we skedaddle. Now, we are greeted with another question, but this time around, we are given the percentage error and we're asked to find the wrong value. Because if you watch the question, it says a woman underestimated the cost of a pair of shoes and her percentage error was 18 whole number 3/4. Alright, if the actual price of the shoe was 64 naira, okay, what was her underestimate? What was her underestimate? Now, pretty much simple, but just a bit of, now we're taking a step further now. If you watch the question very well, if you watch closely, you're given the percentage error. So percentage error is equal to 18 whole number 3/4. Now, if you convert that to fraction, that will give me 18 times 4. Just like this pencil, it's different. 18 times 4. Beg your pardon. 18 times 4 plus 3. So over 4. So that give me 18 times 4. That's 36. 18 times 2 is 36. 36, that's 72 plus 3, that's 75. So 75/4. That is this percentage error. So 75/4%. Now we can remember our percentage error is equal to the actual value minus wrong value, which is the estimated value, over the actual value times 100/1. So in this case, it becomes actual value here is we know it, which is 64, because it says was 64. So if the actual price, so it's going to be 64 minus, we don't know the estimated one, over x over the actual value again, 64 times 100/1. Now remember, the percentage error here, we already got it as 75/4, so you can write 75/4 is equal to 64 minus x over 64 times 100/1. Now we are facing a little bit of algebra. Now I usually advise that when you have a case like this, take this one to make your work less bulky. You can take this one out over here. Now, basic logic of operation is the fact that when your multiplication is crossing an equal sign, this times 100, when it crosses an equal to sign, is going to over here to become division. Okay, and the same likewise when division crosses, it becomes what? Multiplication, just like that. So if you use that, have that logic or that idea, we are saying that this one, when it comes over to this side, is going to become division. What I'm saying in terms of mathematics is just simple grammar. I'm saying 75/4 divided by 100/1 is equal to 64 minus x over 64. Now, if you go further a little bit because of space, I'll have 75/4 times 1/100. Okay, times 1/100, and that will be equal to 64 minus x over 64. Now, briefly, you don't need much to be a mathematician to be able to deal with that. So this is going to result to 75 over 4. Okay, over 400 is equal to 64 minus x over 64. And the remaining one logic is just algebra. Now, if you see, you multiply 75 times 64, that gives me 4,800. This 4,800 is equal to 25,600. Okay. If you point your calculator again, minus, now this times this will give me 400x. So I have 400x. If I collect like terms, this over here, if I collect like terms, that means that I'm going to have is this one over to this side. If I move it here, it's going to become 4,800. Sorry. So it's going to be 4,800 minus. Okay, or should I flip it the other way? Okay, it's better like that. So make the work easier. So here becomes 400x is equal to 25,600 minus 4,800. Now, quickly, I want to save space so I can finish up the remaining one here. So I will have this minus this, it will be 400x is equal to, if you subtract the difference between the two is 20,800. So I have 20,800. Okay, so x becomes 20,800 divided by 400. This. So 4 into this is 5 into 8 is 2. So x is equal to 52 naira. 52. Now, well, because they gave us a naira, is what 52 naira 00 kobo. So brilliantly, we have been able to get how to deal. Now we're still continuing from where we stopped. Now we're going to take a question more, but this one is a little bit tricky because we actually cannot distinguish between the actual value and the wrong value. But we're going to be very discretional about it. Watch. Now, percentage error, we said, is equals to the actual value minus wrong value over actual value times 100 over 1. Now, dealing with that, we actually don't know the difference between, but they told us, alright, distance between 2 points. That means, imagine this is the beginning of the point and this is the end. They told us the distance between them is 3.62, but we don't know the actual value, which is the x, but we know that the lagging between them is 3x minus 3.62 minus x. So let's assume the actual value is x. So we will have we're going to have x. Let me use 3.62. Alright, a bit of good style that can help us, over x times 100 over 1. So we they give a percentage error which is equal to 5%. 5. So we can have it, if you divide both sides by 1000, I have 5 over 100. 100 is 3.62 minus x over x. Now if I'm multiplying both sides, I'm going to cross multiply. I'll have 5x is equal to 3.62 times 100. Okay, let me just pull that up. 3.62 minus x. So if I pull out, you can have 5x is equal to 100 multiplying this is like moving your decimal point to 1, 2. So it's going to be 362 minus 100x. If I collect like term, it becomes 5x plus 100x is equal to 362. Now give me 105x equals to 362. Divide both sides by x, is going to be x equals to 362 divided by 105, which is equal to if you do your calculator, it's going to give me 3.447. That'll be remaining. That'll be 2.7447 years. If you have the last one, I'm going to divide by now 6 kilometer as the correct value. So if you want to approximate it, it's going to be 3.45 to the three significant figure, 3.45 kilometer. That's the correct answer to that question. Pretty much simple. That's a NECO question. Alright guys, we'll continue from where we stopped. Well, this time around we're going to these two exam remaining work. I'm going to leave the first one. Alright, I'll come and just take care of this last one. I'll look a little bit pretty much not directly straight, but it's still simple. A man made a rectangular table with a rectangular top of dimension this instead of this. Okay, so we're having that means this is the correct value instead of this. So if this is the correct value, you're going to be a deviation of these two. Now, what's the percentage error in the perimeter of the table? Now, in the perimeter of a table, table is a rectangular stuff. So I'm going to have something like he made something of, that means the man made something of 36. For 36, normally the length is much, so I can say this was 4. Here's 36 centimeter. Now instead of something like this, something smaller, which is it really smaller? Okay, it looks like. All right, so it's 41 centimeter by 37 cm. Now if you do the comparison, we'll look at it in terms of perimeter. Perimeter of a rectangle, it's 2 into length plus breadth. Now if you logically place it, I'm going to have 2 into, what's the length here? Length is any of them, that's 44, plus the breadth is 36. Okay, this is the one the man is supposed to make. So I'll have, that will give me 2 into this, that's 2 into 44 plus, and that's 80. So difference between multiplying these two, that's 160. Now let's go to what the man actually made instead of the real thing. He actually made something of perimeter equals to 2 into 41 plus 37, which is equal to 2 into 41 plus 37 is going to give me, that's 78. Multiplying the 2 is going to give me 156. Now error, obviously error from here is equal to the difference between these two, that's 160 minus 156, the variation, which is 4. Now percentage error, therefore error is equal to 4 over the actual value, which is you ought to make it something of. So this is the real value, 156. So it's going to be the error over the real value, which is 156, because the word instead of this presents the idea of the correct one. So 156 times 100 over 1. So if you work that out, that gives me this into this, that's 39. So I have 100 over 39, which is equal to, that will give me 2 points, can go 2 times points, add it to 0, that's 5, that is 564. Yeah, 564%. Now approximately I can take it as 2.56%. Now there's another side of it. Now the examiner is very logical in this question, because I could have taken the path of using, watch, it would be wrong. Let me use it. Perhaps I should change the pen. Let me just use something. It will be wrong for me to go, and this what I want to do now is wrong. Common mistake that candidates can make an example. Can come about and say 4 over 160. 160 times 100 over 1. If you do that, I'm going to have something like 4 here, one that's 4 into 10, so it's going to be 10 basically over 4, which is equal to 2 years to 2 years 5, which is 2.5%. And it's an option here. Can you see that? Sorry, 2.5% is here, which is not correct. This is wrong. Don't go and pick it because it's tempting to quickly think of what's actually wrong. The correct thing you do is to come over here and do the correct thing. Because they said instead of, this is the correct answer to tick. So this is wrong, this is correct. So don't be tempted to go and pick this. This is wrong. So alright guys, you can lay your hands on more questions and do well to practice it. That's the only way you get to know. And if you like what you've learned today, please do well to subscribe and join the ministry, and so that the ministry can grow. Thank you. I'll see you some other time. There are more and more. Check the link below. You're going to get a ton of stuff that relates to sciences that is going to help you.